A new year means new recipes, and we're here at Spiral Natural Foods right in Hastings. And with me today is Matt Malika, who's the general manager of Spiral Natural Foods.
Hi, Sarah.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
So, Spiral Natural Foods, it says co-op on the door. What does that mean?
Co-op is an organization that's actually owned and run by its members. So anybody can become a member, anyone can join. And basically it's one of the most democratic forms of business out there today.
Nice. So does that mean in order to shop at Spiral Natural Foods, you have to be a member?
Not at all, but we do have member specials specifically designed to help out and support our membership.
Fantastic. Well, it is the 21st century, so I have my grocery list on my phone. So I'm going to snag a cart, and I think we should find some of our ingredients.
All right.
And it looks like the first thing we are looking for is carrots. So I see you've got a lovely produce section.
We got a couple different options.
Okay.
If you want, you can buy the carrots by the pound, so you can just get what you need, or alternatively, really whatever size you want.
We're gonna go with some colorful carrots this month. That'll be delicious for our dinner that we're making.
And the spices we have listed alphabetical. You certainly can bring your own containers, and a lot of people that do, we just weigh the spices up front before they come in so they don't have to pay for their container again.
Got it.
Otherwise, if you want to buy a jar, we have those, but most people just come in and get the plastic bags and refill at home.
So I think what we're gonna look for is oregano over here. So we said it's alphabetical.
It is alphabetical.
Quinoa over here, we're gonna spice it up with some quinoa this month. So how do I use this so I don't ruin your display? So I just stick my bag under and hope for the best?
Well, then the best thing I would recommend is that you want to grab it so that you don't find out what happens when it all goes over. Because quinoa is so small,
yeah, it's going to shoot
it's
everywhere.
It's a lot of fun. And then just pull down real slowly.
Next aisle over is baking.
So we have a large emphasis on local as well.
Okay.
So one of the things that we have right now in this section, Folstrom's Farms, which is here in Hastings.
Oh, really?
Yep. Mama Stone's, which is from Owatonna. And then some of the other products we have just in this aisle would be the honey is local down in Cannon Falls.
Nice.
So we do focus a lot on local products whenever we can.
So it looks like here's flour we're looking for our recipe this month. So down our aisle number 4, we're looking for fettuccine pasta or a thin noodled pasta.
Well,
wow, look at that, fettuccine right there.
Well, I've got a couple different options here as well.
Okay.
So this is an organic pasta, bio-natural.
Okay.
Whole wheat. I also have gluten-free options.
Oh, wow.
Different types of, we also have a fettuccine that's made out of edamame and mung bean.
Oh, interesting. So we've got whole wheat fettuccine. So it looks like this aisle is one to explore when we're not cooking. So it looks like vitamins and different oils.
Yeah, we sell a lot of essential oils. We have a number of homeopathic, number of really simple ingredient products.
Gotcha.
And a lot of things that are hypoallergenic, depending on what you're looking for.
All right, well, let's head to aisle 6, and it looks like we've got our dairy case back here.
Yep, dairy, meat, cheese.
Got it. So we are looking for some eggs, and I see that we've got eggs. Oh, we've got lots of options with eggs.
So here we've got a couple different options. If you want, you can just grab a carton and you can pick the eggs that you want. And these are from Schultz. They're Schultz organic eggs. Those are coming from...
Oh, wow, you even have the address and the town that they're coming from.
So Owatonna, we have the duck farm.
Oh, wow.
So those are duck eggs
duck
right
eggs.
there. If you've ever baked with duck eggs, it's quite a bit different.
Yes.
And then we also have a local from Meesville as well, local farmer as well.
Got it. Well, let's go with our Meesville eggs. And then we're also looking for some Parmesan cheese.
We do have the Parmesan Italiano, which is the big old block, and you just shave off what you want.
Yep.
Otherwise, they also have the shreds.
Oh.
The shreds are from Satori, which is actually a company out of Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Once again, this is another place where we like to emphasize as much local as we possibly can.
Yeah.
The cheeses that we have up there are made from, are made in Ellsworth. and those ones are using the milk from Hastings.
Well, and to be honest, this is my favorite section. I get my cheese here all the time.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm gonna go with the shredded from Wisconsin right here. And I know I've got a few more grocery items to pick up, but viewers will see you back in my kitchen. And thank you so much, Matt. This is very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Now that we're back in my kitchen, let's get started with our first recipe, and it's a delicious quinoa salad. So inside of my saucepan, I have 2 cups of water, and to that I'm gonna add 1 cup of red quinoa. I've already rinsed it off, so we're good to go. There's a lot of different ways that you can make quinoa, but for this recipe, we're gonna be adding so much flavor to the dressing in our salad, we don't necessarily have to worry about flavoring our liquid that we're cooking it in. So like I said, we're going with just 2 cups of water and 1 cup of quinoa. I'm just going to gently stir it to incorporate some of that water. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring the quinoa up to a boil, and then I'm gonna reduce it down to low and cover it up so I can soften my quinoa. So while that's coming together, what we're gonna do is we're going to make the dressing for our salad. It's pretty dang simple. We have 1/3 cup of olive oil, and I did find out when we were at Spiral Foods that some of the employees at Spiral Food actually got to tour the olive oil company, and they got to see actually the vines, and they got to learn a lot about olive oil. So they're very knowledgeable on their whole shelves of olive oil when you go into Spiral Natural Foods. So like I said, we have 1/3 cup of olive oil in the base of our bowl. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the red wine vinegar that Matt helped me pick out while we were there. And if you notice, we've got 2 liquids that aren't mixing together. So I'm gonna bring in my whisk, and I'm going to combine them. And I'm going to emulsify. There's my fancy science word. And you can see it goes from a red and a yellow to kind of the tan color. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in our oregano that we picked out together. And I've got 1 tablespoon of that oregano, and I'm just gonna whisk that just like this. And now I'm gonna start dicing together some of the other vegetables that we found. So I'm gonna start with my cucumber, and I'm gonna start by simply cutting up some cucumber discs. I wanna have about 1/2 cup of cucumber in there, and give a little chop. So my quinoa started to boil, so what I did is I actually turned the heat off, I put a lid on it, and we're gonna let this steep together for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how long it takes to fully soften the quinoa. And while I do that, I'm gonna start dicing up my tomatoes. So there is kind of a little bit of strategy in this, in that you want to make sure that you don't have any seeds in there, because these are from Spiral. We're going to have really nice juicy tomatoes. So there is actually a trick to getting these cut down pretty quickly without the seeds. So you can take and slice. You can see there's those pockets of seeds. I'm gonna slice, and then I can actually take the wedge right out, and the seeds stay all inside of my tomato. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly go around, and we're gonna kind of see how this starts to take shape. And now that I have the larger pieces of flesh, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go and slowly slice down the sides around the seeds. And then you can see it's really nice because I don't have to spend time doing anything super fancy. I'm sure everybody has their own method for slicing tomatoes so there's no seeds, and you might have one that's faster than mine, but this is the fastest way that I've come up with. With this, I had about 1/2 cup of cucumbers. With my tomatoes, I'm shooting for about 2 cups, so this is gonna be multiple tomatoes that we're gonna cut apart. So I have my tomatoes and I have my cucumber diced into my bowl with my dressing. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add some chickpeas to my mixture. They're also called garbanzo beans at Spiral, and you can get them dry, but these are the ones right from the can. And so now I've got 3 different things going on in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to gently fold in my dressing. And you can see what a nice variety of colors we have going here. And we're gonna get even more color pretty gosh darn quick. And so I'm just gonna take, and I want about 1/4 teaspoon of salt and about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper in here. And I'm gonna fold again. So at this point, our quinoa should be done. And ooh, it looks really yummy. So you know that you've got your quinoa taken care of when inside originally we had just those solid red little pieces all nice and tight, and now they've opened up and they've bloomed and we have a mixture of white and red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this to a bowl with a fine mesh strainer over the top. That way I can drain out any sneaky water that might be hiding in there. I'm going to take this, and it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of water in there. I'm going to take and add that into my salad. And remember, this was just 1 cup of quinoa, so you can see it really fluffs up nice and big when it's fully cooked. So one little pop of flavor still has yet to be added to this, and that is a little bit of lemon. And not only do they have vegetables at the co-op, they also have fruit. So I spun it a little on my cutting board to break up some of those membranes inside, and now I'm just going to take about half a lemon and squeeze that in there to give it a nice kick. And if you end up getting a smaller lemon, you might need to use a whole lemon. And while I make my other 2 dishes, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to chill down nicely. For our main dish, we're gonna go with some creamy vegetable pasta. So it's taking all the deliciousness of macaroni and cheese and amping it up with some vegetables. So we're gonna start by grabbing our soup mix. Now this seems like a weird choice, but what I like about this is you get a whole variety of vegetables that you can use in a variety of dishes. Just because it says soup mix doesn't mean you have to make a soup with it. So what I've done is I've pulled out some carrots. I have orange and purple carrots here. I've already peeled them. So what I'm going to do is come in and finely dice these up into little discs. And I want to have about a half a cup of carrot circles. So I've got a pretty generous half a cup there, and to that I'm also going to add some zucchini. So I'm going to start by slicing off the end, and what I like to do, because I want another half a cup of zucchini, is I like to make some larger wedges and watch one roll away. And then what I like to do is go in for a smaller dice. Now, the thing is with zucchini, I find it a little bit softer, so I like to take this nice and slow when I cut it so I don't have any boo-boos along the way. Behind me on my stove, I actually have another pot of water that's already working on coming to a boil. Inside of that pot, we're going to put some of our fettuccine, but that water can start to come up to a boil while we're working on cutting up all of these vegetables. So my water, I can hear it's boiling behind me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my fettuccine that we picked out together at the store. Now I need just half a pound of this, and it comes in that 1 pound package. So I'm gonna pop this open, and I'm going to add half of it to my pot of boiling water. And this pasta, according to the back of the package, says it takes about 9 minutes. I'm gonna fully cook that 9 minutes in that pot. So while that's cooking, I can now move on to my red peppers. And now, if you think about it, red peppers sometimes when you go to the grocery store can be giant. These are smaller because we learned today at Spiral Foods that these are all things that are sourced locally. So that means that if we think about the colder time that we're going through right now, you're gonna have smaller produce. But ooh, it smells delicious. But that means because it's local, you're also going to have better flavors. So once again, we're keeping our half cup increments, and now we're gonna add and chop and cut and dice and slice to get to that half a cup of red pepper. If you wanted to, maybe you find red peppers a little too much for you, you could do this with any color, red, yellow, green, but I just like the flavor of the red pepper. So now we have our red peppers all sliced up. So now we're gonna move into our asparagus. And so if you've not worked with asparagus before, you've got kind of these floppity stalks, and you're gonna wanna find where they naturally break on your own. That means that you're gonna have the softest part of the asparagus inside of your dish. So they're all gonna have about different snapping points. So if you want the most tender part of the asparagus in your recipe, you're gonna find that snap spot. Now what I have here is I have about a pound of asparagus, and so what I'm gonna do is go through and slice these up into about 1 inch long pieces. And I'm gonna add this to my bowl as well. We have our vegetables, we have all of our delicious items for our cheesy sauce, and we have our cooked pasta. So let's combine this all together. So inside of my pan, I have 2 tablespoons of butter that I'm going to melt down, and to that I'm going to add my 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock, and 1 cup of cheese. And then I also have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to give it that flavor punch. So let's get our sauce going. So before I start my cheesy sauce, I'm actually going to partially saute my vegetables in that butter. So we're gonna put all of our chop in there, and we're gonna let this cook for about 3 minutes to pick up the flavor of that butter and to start to soften our vegetables. That looks nice and happy in there right now. So now that I have these gently covered in my butter sauce, I'm actually gonna cover this up, cook it on medium for about 3 minutes to really steam these and get them just flexible. So it's been about 1.5 minutes that I've been sauteing my vegetables, so I'm gonna start now to add some more ingredients. So what I'm gonna do is I have 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. And now I'm going to toss all my vegetables again, and I'm gonna finish cooking it for my remaining 3 minutes. So you can see our vegetables have started to brighten up in their color. So we've got some good flavors in here, but we don't want to totally finish cooking them yet because we have to get a little bit more going with our sauce. So we're gonna put our vegetables back into our vegetable bowl. And I can't see what I'm doing. So there's probably a mess at the front of my table. Oh, yep, a couple pieces got away, so we'll scoop her up. We'll put her back in the bowl. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to start making my cheese sauce. So I have this heavy cream from Spiral Natural Foods. So it comes in these little containers that are 8 ounces, and we need 16 ounces of cream. So we're gonna put that into our pan. We're gonna start it on low. We're gonna go low and slow with this. We don't want to run the risk of curdling our cream. It's too delicious for that to happen. And we're gonna add that. And then to this, we're going to add 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. And we got the shredded cheese from Wisconsin. So we're gonna add that in. And I'm just going to slowly stir this until I get a nice cheesy sauce. So you can see we've got a really nice creamy sauce here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm gonna stir to combine that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring my vegetables back into my cheese sauce and finish cooking them the rest of the way. And I'm gonna keep working to bring these together until I have one consistent sauce with the juices from my vegetables and the cheese. So we have our vegetables and our cheese combined, our vegetables are cooked through, so now we are going to simply pour our vegetables in with our pasta. Just like that. And now all we need to do is just gently fold it all together. And then we've got a delicious, cheesy, vegetably good fettuccine, and maybe even a little steamy. So it would look pretty tacky to take this right to my table like that. So I actually have a serving platter here, and I'm just gonna take, and I'm gonna dump. I can grab some tongs, fluff it up the nice way I want it. So we have our creamy vegetable pasta, and I think that means it's time to make some dessert. So with our fantastic meal from Spiral Natural Foods, we need an amazing dessert to complement that. So we're gonna make lemon lava cake. If you've ever had chocolate lava cake where you bite into it or slice into it and there's that gooey center, you know what we're talking about, but this time we're doing it with white chocolate. So what I have here is 1 white chocolate bar, and I got this at Spiral Foods as well. So I've melted that down. I just did that in little 30-second increments in my microwave. Then to that, I'm going to add my flour. I have 2/3 of a cup of flour. And I'm gonna start right away mixing this all together. I'm gonna add then my powdered sugar, and I have 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. So to this, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of lemon curd. You can buy this in the store, or you can get all the ingredients to make this at Spiral Natural Foods. There's lots of really good lemon curd recipes. I know I have my favorite, and that's what I'm using today. I have 1 stick of unsalted butter that we got at Spiral, and because this is an organic butter, if you've never really thought about what the difference is, you can see that that butter content is a little bit different, and this has more of a golden tint to it than you would with some more of those processed butters. And now I'm going to add my eggs. Now this is a very heavy on the egg recipe, so we're gonna start with 4 whole eggs. And then the last 4 eggs, I'm gonna do things a little bit differently. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually just going to use the egg yolks. So I'm gonna leave my mixer off, and I'm gonna separate my eggs by including just the yolks. So I'm gonna do the old-fashioned pass back and forth method, and we've got our egg yolks, and our egg whites are going into the bowl. So there's 1 egg yolk. For our last little pop of flavor, we're gonna add 3 things. So I'm gonna tip this back. I have 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That'll just enhance my flavors overall. I also have 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then I have a lemon, and I'm gonna use the zest of a lemon. So remember, we've talked about this before. If you've seen Aprons Optional in the past, we're gonna just gently skim along the top and get just the yellow. If we go too deep, then we have that sour and bitter part of the lemon, and we wanna keep it nice and fresh. And then all I need to do is tip this into my mixing bowl right there, and get all that delicious zesty bits, and we're gonna mix and combine. So we have everything all nice and combined, and you can see I took a time out and I cleaned up a little bit so I had room to work on my table. So what I'm gonna do, I have these small bowls, and we're actually going to cook everybody's cake separate in their own little bowl. So I'm gonna take my nonstick cooking spray, and I'm really gonna coat the bejesus out of these because I want these to come out all nice. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put about 1/2 cup of cake batter into each little bowl. And then I'm gonna pour it in. So we're gonna pop this into a 425-degree oven. It'll be in there for 15 to 17 minutes. Because these are lava cakes, we don't want them cooked all the way through, so we can't do the traditional toothpick test. Instead, what we're gonna look for is a domed top to our cakes, and then we know that they are ready to pull from the oven. My cakes, like I said, were in the oven for 15 minutes, then I took them out. I've had them on a cooling rack for the last 10 minutes. Right when they came out of the oven, I grabbed a paring knife and I went around the edge to make sure that they were loosened, so hopefully everything will pop out nicely. And this is always the part, like, how do you do this? All right, so I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, try not to burn myself like this. So now I'm gonna use quick hands to bring it up, just because I think that's easier. And there we go, we have our first lemon lava cake. Now we said it's lemon lava cake, so hopefully if we did it right, we should have some gooiness with our lemon coming right out. We're gonna pop all of these out onto their serving plates, and let's see what we have in store for dinner. So we have all of our items ready. We just have to put the finishing touches on a couple of items before we dig in. So we have our quinoa salad, and it's got some great mix-ins, but we need to add some feta cheese for an extra pop before we head to the table. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna stir all of it together so I get cheese throughout. And that looks pretty gosh darn yummy. Plus it brings another color element into our salad. So now I'm just gonna transfer this to a serving bowl, being mindful that if you're not careful, you could end up with quinoa all over the place. So we're gonna do a nice gentle pour. So I have my delicious salad, and now I'm gonna get my dessert ready. So I have my lemon cake all taken care of, but you can make it a little fruity with some fruit garnish. You could make your own whipped cream, but I'm gonna take it simple, and I'm gonna use some more of that powdered sugar that we got from Spiral Natural Foods, and we're just gonna go over the top. I don't wanna do this right away. I wanna wait a little bit, because if I would have done it right away, then that sugar would have melted into that dish. I could still, if I wanted to, top it with some fresh fruit, but I think this looks pretty yummy to me. So, pasta, cake, and a salad, all because of Spiral Natural Foods. That's an excellent dinner in my opinion. So remember, the apron's optional, but the flavor isn't. Let's see what happens. That's still really hot. It's not coming out. That's awesome. Please, one of these work.